All right, so Friday we talked about area of rectangles and area of parallelograms. Now we're moving into area of triangles. So in the real world link, it says the Biosphere 2 complex in Tucson, Arizona researches Earth and its living systems. Sections of the building are interlocking triangles of the same size. So there are two triangles that are outlined in the photo. They have the blank size and the blank shape. Okay, so we have a red one and then we have a yellow one. What do you notice about those? They're the same shape and same size. Okay, so then they want you to draw the figure that is when they connect together like this. So what kind of figure is that? It's not a square. What would it be? Other than a square. There's other shapes. Nope. Well, guys, together, not a rectangle. What did we talk about on Friday besides a rectangle? Parallelogram. So it's about like this. Okay, so now the entire parallelogram there, they want to know how many triangles are all together, the small ones. So no, guys, the actual triangles in the windows. How many are there all together? 18. There's 18. So that means we just found the area of that parallelogram because that's the area, that's how much makes up the parallelogram. Now they want to figure out how many triangles are in just one of these. So like the yellow one. How many triangles are in the yellow one? 9. So that would be the area of a triangle there. Now, the next part of this, they want you to describe the relationship between the area of the triangle, which was 9, and the area of the parallelogram. What do you notice? The area of the parallelogram was 18. The area of the triangle was 9. What do you notice? What can we say about the area of the triangle and the area of the parallelogram? Right there. The area of the parallelogram is twice as much. Or you could say, since we're talking about the triangle, the area of the triangle is 1/2 the area of the parallelogram. So literally, it's just 1/2. Okay, so that shows us there that the triangle is 1/2 of the parallelogram just by looking at the area, by looking at those windows. Now, number 5, they want to draw another parallelogram like the one in the photo and separate it into two triangles. So down here, we draw a parallelogram. Okay, and then they want us to cut it in half using two triangles. So we have one triangle here, one triangle there. What do you notice about that? Okay, what can we say about the triangle? It's half the area of the parallelogram. So the other day when we were talking about parallelograms, okay, we talked about that formula. It was a specific formula for rectangles and parallelograms. Okay, so does anybody remember what that formula was for area of rectangles or parallelograms from last Friday? Hunter? Close. Nope. We called it a different thing. We called them different names. Base times height. Okay, so that kind of continues on with what we're doing today. So like I was saying, so parallelogram the other day was area equals base times the height. Okay, every time that's how parallelograms work. Now today, since triangle's 1/2 of that, you're literally going to do base times height divided by 2. We're not going to even do fractions. The original formula is 1/2 times base times height. I hate that. I don't like it because it's got a fraction in it. It confuses you guys. I like doing base times height divided by 2. So the good thing is today you get to use calculators. So if you need to borrow one, grab one there. If not, get one out. They also go on to talk about congruent figures. So congruent figures are just figures that are made up of the same shape and the same size. So a parallelogram is formed by two congruent triangles, like we found on the first page. When you put two of the same triangles together, it forms a parallelogram. Guys, put the calculators down. You don't even need them right now. Just put them down. Okay, so like I was saying, half of the area of a parallelogram is talking about a triangle. That's why we have to divide it by 2. So when we go to do this, here's a word of advice, because you will get the answer wrong every time if you don't follow this. When you type these into a calculator, you have to do it in 2 steps. It cannot go in all at once. You have to do the base times height, find that answer, and then divide that by 2. Because if you do it as, you find your base, say it was 4, times the height, which is 3, and then you say this divided by 2, you're technically telling the calculator to go 3 divided by 2 times 4. You're going to get a totally different answer. That's why you have to separate. It's not a computer. It's a calculator. It just does the calculations. It cannot think. So you have to do this in steps. Otherwise, it won't work. Just forewarning you. So to find the area of a triangle, okay, like I was saying, it's literally one formula, base times height divided by 2. Now this first one, they give you a triangle on the coordinate plane. That's fine. We know that each one of these is just 1. So we just count the lines. So the base would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my base is 6. So I put that in. The height is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you do this, you have to do the multiplication part first. So 6 times 4 divided by 2. 12 units squared. Do not forget about the label. It's got to be labeled because we were talking about area. We're talking about measurement. So 12 units squared if there's not an actual unit there. If you forget the unit squared part, it is going to be wrong. You have to have all of it. All right, on the next page, another example. It says find the area of the triangle. So once again, we do area equals base times height divided by 2. Now this one, what would be the base? What is the base? 12.1. Okay, what's the height? 6.4. Now, if they would have done this, does that have anything to do with the height of the base? No. The base is always underneath that little square right there, and the height will always be the dotted line. Or if they have a right triangle like this, okay, this would be the height, this would be the base. It just depends on the numbers and where they're placed. So do 12.1 times 6.4 first. So you take it in steps. Do the multiplication part first. Then divide by 2. And we get what? 38 and 72 hundredths, 38.72. All right, let's jump over to page 677 now. We're going to do a few of these. All right, number one. Once again, we have to count the base and the height so we can figure that out. So the base is going to be, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our base is 6. So what would be the height? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 8. And we divide that by 2. So do 6 times 8, and then divide that by 2. 24. What's our label? Units squared. So every time, do the multiplication part first, then the division. So number 2, what would be the base for this one? 24.8. What would be the height? 16. So you're going to do those two multiplied together and then divide it by 2. So do 24.8 times 16, and then once you get that, divide it by 2, Aiden, what do we get? 74.4? Doesn't sound right. Yeah, 74.4 doesn't sound right. That sounds right. 198.4. What's our label? No. Centimeters squared. This one was units because we didn't actually have a measurement. This one is centimeters. It tells you. If it's labeled, you have to label it. All right, let's go back to page 676 because I want to do a couple on here. Actually, we're going to do number 3. Okay, so number 3 here. What's the base? 15.6. What's the height? And then we just multiply those out and divide it by 2. So once you multiply it out and divide it, you get 87.75. What's our label? Meters squared. Is it 75? It should be that right there. 87.75. All right, any questions? So like I said, base times height divided by 2. Okay, let's go back, and I want you guys to do A and B right in the middle of the page, 675. Not C and D, A and B. Here we go. So letter A. Okay, so this one's on the coordinate plane, so we got to count it up. So what would be our base here? What's the base, Hunter? 6. Okay, what would be the height for this one? 3. So you do 6 times 3 divided by 2, and we get 9. What's the label? Units squared. So 9 units squared. Okay, on the next one, what's our base? 9. What's our height? 7. So 9 times 7 divided by 2, and we get 31.5 feet squared. 31.5 feet squared. Any questions on these two? So all you're doing is put the base in, put the height in, divided by 2. Guys, finding the area and the volume, stuff like that of shapes is very, very easy as long as you follow the steps. Don't get lazy and start rushing through this because I'm telling you right now, the calculator will get it wrong every time. You have to do it in steps. It's not a computer. It's a calculator. It calculates. It doesn't compute. Okay? It doesn't have a mind of its own to think. All right, so the next part is we're going to move into the story problem part, the real world examples. So all they're going to ask you to do now, all right, is they want you to read through it and then find the area of what they're asking you to. So number 4 there, the front of a camping tent has the dimensions shown. How much material was used to make the front of the tent? So you're finding the area of the front. So what's the base of the front? 5. What's the height? 3. So you're going to do 5 times 3 divided by 2. 7.5 feet square feet. 7.5 feet squared. That's it. So it doesn't change anything. You're still doing the same thing. It's still the same formula. So down here, we are going to do number 4. Actually, number 5. I lied. Number 5. Consuela made a triangular paper box as shown. What is the area of the top of the box? Okay, so what would be the base of the box? 10. What's the height? So we do 10 times 9 divided by 2. 45. What's our label? Centimeters squared. That's it. Okay, rectangles, parallelograms, triangles. Very, very easy stuff. So, that's fine. Okay, what we're going to do today, you have a lot of time to work on this. Okay, I'm giving you 2 IXLs. The first one is all about review. Okay, it's FF2. That's just finding the area of a rectangle or square. So base times height. Then the second one is FF6. That's all about triangles. So you have 2 formulas today. Base times height divided by 2. That's it. Okay, you have plenty of time to work on this. After that, treat this like a study hall. Get some missing assignments done.